Today's video, we are doing an original tag by yours truly called the 2020 Takeaway Tag. So stick around if you want to check it out. Welcome to The Right Mama. My name is Jennifer Aline. I am a women's fiction writer, a freelance writer, and the mother of twin girls. First off, I decided to sit at my new desk because it's so cute. Just take a second, just look at it. My cousin collects antiques and said she didn't need it, and I did. And also because I will be turning on my laptop to check out the questions for the 2020 Takeaway Tag, which is an original tag that I created that I just thought would be a good way to talk about the positive things that you can take away from 2020, since it really wasn't that positive of a year. But even though this year was crazy, there were definitely positive things that happened to all of us involving our writing, our personal lives, everything. There is some good that we can take out of this year, and the 2020 Takeaway Tag is going to talk about that. There are 3 sections in the 2020 Takeaway Tag, and that is writing, YouTube/Authortube, and personal. And writing has, I think, 4 prompts, and the others have 3. And in the end, we want you to tag 3 or more people to jump in and join the tag. So let's dive in. The first section we are going to start off with is the writing section. And the first question is, what kind of creative work did you do in 2020, and how did you feel about it at the end of the year? Well, starting off 2020, I had a book deal with a small press, and I went through 2 rounds of edits with that small press. I also, let's see, what else did I do? I was reaching out to collaborate in the future with some small local businesses. I also had reached out to some Instagrammers, some bookstagrammers, to put them on my list to work with them for this book. And then, if you watched one of my more recent videos, I am no longer with that small press, and you can watch that video and find out why. Some other creative work I did is I started a new work in progress, and I did a bunch of that during Nano. And on top of that, I made a lot of YouTube content, and I did some freelance work, but I think really when it comes to the writing, it was those edits and the work in progress that I'm working on. Question 2 is, how would your protagonist or protagonists react to 2020? Since I have 3 main characters in that age, I'm going to kind of go with what each one and how they would have reacted to this year. Corinne, in that age, would probably have said something like, but how can I make a baby when I'm in quarantine? Lainey would probably have said, hand me a beer, I'm staying in this apartment. Delilah probably would have said, okay, so I need to make a calendar for when my next therapy session is, when I can do some virtual yoga, and I probably should schedule some kind of virtual play date. That's probably how the 3 main characters in that age would have reacted if they lived during the year of COVID. Number 3 is, what is a positive writing lesson that you will take with you to 2021? Oh gosh, I have so many. If you haven't watched the red flags video that I made, you should, and I will be taking all of that I learned with me into the future. I learned a lot when it comes to trusting your gut. I learned a lot when it comes to things to look out for before you sign on with a small press or with an editor or with an agent. I learned a lot about that, and I definitely will be taking that with me into the future. I also watched a lot of videos about self-publishing, and if self-publishing is the route that I decide to take for that age, I will need to review all those videos and watch more and do more reading, because there's a lot that goes with self-publishing. I definitely learned a lot when it comes to the publishing business, businesses in general, and how professional publishers should interact with their authors and interact with the social world. And the 4th question under the writing prompt is, share a favorite quote that you wrote or read this year. I'm actually going to pull up my Instagram because I wrote a couple really good quotes during Nano, and I saved them on my Nano story. One quote that I wrote that I thought was pretty funny It took me a long time to write this one, and I don't even know if it'll stick in this work in progress, but it was, my head was spinning, my jeans were soaked, and my ass was a bruised up, deflated balloon. That is describing one of the characters who has a flat butt. And another quote that is less humorous than that one that I wrote is, my skin had become the best of armor, both protecting me and toughening me up for whatever shit the future smacked me with. I think that's a really good quote for 2020. So those are the questions for the writing prompt, the writing section. The next section of this tag has to do with Authortube and YouTube. The first question is, what are some things you did on your channel in 2020 that you are proud of? I will definitely say I've done a bunch of live streams and I've gotten comfortable doing live streams, and I'm pretty proud of that because I do think that that's a good way to involve yourself in the community, in the writerly and bookish community on Authortube and YouTube. So I'm really proud of myself for that. I also am really proud because I think I posted a video every single week this year except for 2 weeks, because those weekends may have had a virtual retreat I was in and I was hosting something at, so I didn't post a video maybe that week. But I'm pretty darn proud of myself for pretty much posting a video on a weekly basis for this entire year. I'm also really proud that I've been able to speak out about certain topics like mental health with motherhood, or speak out about the situation that did happen to me and with the small press, and be able to do it in what I thought was a pretty professional manner, an appropriate manner. Editing Jenny here, because I realized that I totally missed in my own tag the second question for the Authortube YouTube section. And the second question is, my girls are in the other room, by the way. The second question is, in what ways did you and your channel grow in 2020? And it is very similar to the first question. And this doesn't have to be when it comes to like monetizing and subscribers. It can be about content. It can be about other ways that you as a person grew because you were stepping out of your comfort zone. And I think for me, a lot of it is similar in that I grew more comfortable in front of the camera and speaking about certain topics. I grew some subscribers. I grew my community of Authortubers and writers, which was probably the most that I can see when it comes to growth. I think I grew my circle of writerly folks, which is awesome. I would probably say that's the most growth that I would focus on when it comes to this question. And the third question under the YouTube Authortube section is, what is another channel that brought you joy in 2020? And it doesn't have to be Authortube. I'm definitely going to mention the channel Squirmy and Grubs, which I will post a little picture of over here, and I will link down in the below blurb. Squirmy and Grubs, I have been hooked on watching this couple's life. They're a hilarious couple. They're fun. They're real. It's raw. And it's an interabled couple, meaning that Shane has muscular dystrophy and Hannah is kind of his caregiver as well as his wife. And they've had a lot of people say negative things about them, but they've also posted a lot of really great content to bring forth the reality of their relationship, the reality of disabilities and disability awareness, and being someone who has a degree in child and family studies, and as somebody who has worked in a community with those who do have disabilities, I really love their content, and they're fun, they're funny, and you should watch them. Check them out, they're great. Also, I'm not going to name any Authortubers specifically, but I have grown very close to some Authortubers, and I love watching a lot of Authortubers content, and I look forward to adding some more people into my little community of writers, because it's just so nice to be able to connect with others who are like-minded and to watch their story and watch their world grow when it comes to publishing and writing, and also learn a lot from them. Okay, the third part of the 2020 takeaway tag has to do with more personal things. And don't worry, we're not going to get real serious here. The first question is, what are some new hobbies or interests that came out of 2020? I will 100% say that I became obsessed with scrolling through Instagrams of people who do ceramics and who make pottery with, from clay and from different things. I am obsessed with pottery and clay and mugs and ceramics. And I am following so many people who make handmade mugs and handmade planters for plants. And if you can't tell, I'm getting excited. So when I can't sleep at night, that's probably what I'm looking at. I am just liking all of these artists who make amazing, molded mugs and unique colors and paints. And I found so much comfort in checking this stuff out. If you're somebody who likes to do ceramics and makes really cool mugs, I would love to check out your stuff. My Ariel mug is from someone I know who does ceramics. This year I got really into another interest would be watching the holiday baking shows. I've mentioned this in videos before, but I got ridiculously, annoyingly hooked on the Halloween baking shows and the spring baking shows and now the Christmas baking shows. And now I'm just curious, when did they record those? And how will COVID involve the future of these baking shows? The second question is, what would you tell your past self in January 2020 if you could talk to that person? Oh goodness, so many things. I would probably have told myself to breathe, give yourself grace, and realize that things are not going to unfold the way you planned this year. Follow your gut, and this does go kind of to my publishing journey. I would have probably not told myself straight up that the small press you're with may not publish your book. But I would want myself to figure that out. And I kind of knew it, like I said, from the beginning. But I would have told myself to prepare mentally, focus on your mental health and your self-care because you will need that. Probably talk to a therapist, work on your patience, and also think of some home activities you can do with your girls, because after a few days of Play-Doh and painting and making forts, you're gonna need other ideas. I probably, on the same lines of mental health and self-care, would have told myself to push forward earlier with being an independent co-parent. And that's something I'm not gonna speak about kind of on this channel, but to step out and do the co-parenting thing earlier. Don't wait, and it'll all work out. It'll all work out fine. Don't stand back. Move forward confidently because it will work out okay. And the third and final question for the tag is, what 3 positive words can you focus on when you're starting 2021? When I think of 3 words that I want to really keep in the forefront of my mind for 2021, I would probably think about patience, passion, and persistence. The 3 P's. PPP. Patience, passion, and persistence. Because I know I need to work on my patience with myself, with my girls, with everything. My patience really needs to be worked on, and I think that this year taught me that. And I think moving forward, I'm going to keep working on my patience. And that's something I hope 2021, I can start off the year being patient with myself, with my girls, and with my passions. That brings me to my passions. I think I need to focus on truly what brings joy to my life. And that is my writing, my girls. When I have time for myself, when I have time to read, when I have time to just sit and take a bubble bath. Passions and focusing on those, because that brings joy. And I need to focus on truly what brings me joy, not what is going to always make other people happy, and focus on that from the start. And persistence. I think that's important with my publishing journey. I guess that's another word, another P word I could put in there. But staying persistent with the publishing journey, focusing hard and sticking with the book you're writing. If I'm editing, sticking with the deadline I give myself, being persistent with, if I decide to go the self-publishing route, staying persistent with what I'm doing for that and making sure I, all the little goals that I'm setting for myself, that I check those off when they need to be checked, and just staying persistent. In the end, I'll be so proud of myself. I have so many P words right now, it's crazy. Those are all the questions for the 2020 takeaway tag. I think this will just be helpful with us kind of thinking about ourselves moving into 2021 after kind of a chaotic year. And I ask that you tag 3 people or more. I'm going to tag everybody who is in the Authortube Secret Santa group that I'm in, and I will list them below, those I'm tagging. And I'm also going to tag all of those who responded to my Instagram saying they wanted to be involved with this tag. So you guys are also down below, as well as maybe over here. Maybe I'll pop up real fast a bunch of your names. So you guys are all tagged. I'm tagging a bunch of you. And I really hope you enjoy this tag, you have a lot of fun, and you learn about yourself and what your goals are moving forward. Thank you guys so much for listening to this video. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe below, hit the thumbs up button. I post every Friday. Thank you very much. Stay creative and stay caffeinated, folks.